It is like the end of the world for girls living in Afghanistan.
Concerns are growing over new Taliban laws banning women's voices and bare faces in public in Afghanistan.
Women are oppressed, all their rights are taken away from them. They are used like the slaves back in the old days that people were using.
The Taliban forced women to stay at home, and if they had to go out, to wear a burqa. Defiance meant beatings, or even death by stoning.
There's no hope to them.
You just made a really big decision. Afghanistan.
Yes.
Were you the last person in the room?
Yes.
And you feel comfortable?
I do.
The chaotic U.S. withdrawal, considered one of President Biden's biggest failures.
Afghanistan's government has fallen to Islamist militants who make up the Taliban.
Unfortunately, just over one night, we lost everything. The country collapsed from the top management to the lower management. And it was very chaotic, fear and anxiety, depression, stress. My children and my family, they had no idea what I was doing. They thought that I was a businessman. That's how I introduced myself to my family. When they saw that I was shaking, I was afraid and nervous, my daughters, they asked me, why you are afraid? I took that chance as an opportunity to be part of the enduring freedom and promoting democracy and eliminating the bad guys to create a safe and democratic atmosphere for the people of Afghanistan that they never enjoyed in their life before that.
Girls in Afghanistan, they're always so hopeful for their future. Even though some restrictions, some cultural restrictions we had, they were still happy for the government and the freedom that we had. They still had education. They were still allowed to go to university and at least choose their own occupation for their future. But after the withdrawal, things changed. A lot of doors were closed. There was no more hope left for choosing their occupations or choosing what to do for their future.
Afghanistan has known much tragedy in recent decades, but the cruelty of this moment in history is staggering. The desperation here intensifies every day. People know the Americans will leave soon, and quite likely leave them behind.
So it was August 15th during lunchtime, and our dining mat was on the ground. We were all around the dining mat, but no one was eating food. Because the snooze was so hard to bear, no one was eating food. We were just there thinking. We couldn't see a future coming to us.
Well, we've just been out onto the streets. The most striking thing out there is we didn't see one single woman. Half the population is now hiding behind closed doors.
Afghan women lost all of their hope in the whole world right after the fall, because they still had hope on the countries close to them, the neighbor countries, that they would raise their voice and be one with the women who's facing the most problems nowadays.
Women is used as a slave in Afghanistan. It's a very tough situation. When the Taliban see a girl or a woman walking on the street by herself, they stop the car, they grab the woman with their hands and they push her in the car. All these barbaric, stinky Taliban, they take her to the custody of the Taliban police. One of the examples is with what they did with one of the girls, that she was actually protesting about the women's right. They caught her, they brought her in the jail, and they told her that you want democracy. The girl said, yes, I want democracy. They forced her to take off all the clothes in front of all those barbaric Taliban, and the Taliban start laughing at her, and they bullied her, made fun of her, they said really bad things to her, then they gang raped her for more than a week, and then they killed her and they cut her into pieces and they put her in a flour sack and left her on the side of the street.
بله، همراه چند دوستایم که گپ میزنم واقعیت زیاد شکایت میکنن و برشان بسیار مشکل شده. بازم همون مشکل که بیرون رفتن نمیتونن. یعنی زندگی برشان عادی نیست فعلا. بسیار برشان زندگی سخت شده و همیشه مشکلاتشان این همیست که خانه باشن دیگه. واقعیت سخت تیر میشه برشان. شکایتشان زیادتر به خمیست که بیرون رفتن نمیتونیم. کار که بعضش که وظیفه داشت از وظیفه برآمدن، اوایش که معلم بود مکتب رفتن نمیتونن و درس دادن نمیتونن. یعنی از 100%ش 20%ش اگه وظیفه بره، 80% دیگهش فعلا در خانه است و بیکار است. شکایت زیاد میکنن از بیکاری و از اوضاع فعلی.
I mean, life has become a hell in Afghanistan for both men, women, and the girls, for everybody. It's almost been 3 years that we are here in the United States. I'm lucky I got evacuated. Not everyone is lucky. There is a lot of interpreters, soldiers, contractors, and many other people who worked, who partnered with the United States. They didn't make it. They were abandoned. So praise be the Lord that finally He actually gave me this opportunity to save my children. My daughters, they would be probably forced married by now, and there would be no support for them, and all their dreams and wishes for their futures, they would be taken away from them. For my sons, they would be probably killed or kidnapped. Bad things could have happened to my family if they would have stayed back in Afghanistan.
Now that I'm in America and I have my personal freedom, my freedom to decide for what I do in the future, I think that's a big, big thing for me right now.
بله، یک امید با آینده اولادم دارم. آرزوهای خودم برآورده شده میره. یعنی میتونم که کوشش کنم درس بخوانم یا اولادم درس خوب بخوانه و تعلیم خوب داشته باشه. بله.
The United States, the nation, both, and the government must care for Afghan women because that's the only country who cares about human rights, free rights, democratic rights, republic, and all kinds of freedom. The people who are in the White House, the Congress of the United States, because that's where the decisions are being made, they need to actually recognize the gender apartheid as a heinous crime against humanity. Like in Afghanistan, it's a huge gender apartheid for the women. I'm afraid people might not trust United States again because they know what happened to Afghanistan, what the United States did with their allies in Afghanistan.
It is like the end of the world for girls living in Afghanistan. No hope, seeing the dark situation that's happening right now. It's not just a story to be heard. So my message for America and Americans is please don't forget Afghanistan and Afghan girls, please.